All right. Well, once again, here on the One Leg Up Network, we are going to go into the adaptive world for this time neurodivergence and how we can help people with those with neurodivergence. And I have the owner and CEO of Practical Sanctuary, Stephanie Lee Jackson, and that is your specialty, neurodivergence. And when we did our pre-show chat, we really hit it off. So I wanted to see what kind of interview we do, and I'm glad to have you today on the One Leg Up Network.
Thanks, Alex. It's good to be here.
So it's interesting because when you talk neurodivergence, you would expect the person running the company to actually be neurodivergent. But let's start there. You
Not
are
at all.
not, but you've been around many that are.
Yes, yeah, I'm what you could call a highly sensitive person, which means that we're about 20% of the population, and we are taking in more data. We're more sensitive and more affected by all kinds of sensory and emotional input. As a highly sensitive person, I've always liked quirky people. I've just been drawn to the oddballs. And that was true before we had a name for it. And as I've gotten older, more and more and more of my oldest friends have either self-diagnosed or received diagnosis as some kind of neurodivergent. That means ADHD, OCD, autism spectrum, sensory processing disorder, and I would include trauma in that because trauma changes the brain. I define neurodivergence as a difference in patterns of attention, brain organization, sensory input, sensory processing, and basically your brain just works differently. It's wired a little bit differently, and I find that fascinating. As a
Well, then let
highly
me ask you
sensitive,
this because
yes.
sometimes, for me in an interview, it takes a little bit more to focus. Does that mean there's
Mhm.
something neuro there that, like,
That is 100% neurodivergent. I think as we discussed during our pre-interview, you think you have ADHD.
yes,
Yes, given that you told me that you always have like five devices on at once.
true, I do. I actually
Yes.
do. And
Uh-huh.
that stems from birth, from the 77
hmm
days in the NICU where there were blinking lights and flashing lights and noises and hooked
hmm
up to everything. And I think that's what my parents attributed to anyway. So I feel
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So some of it is inborn, some of it's genetic, and some of it is how you are, things that happen to you in your life. So I don't consider myself designing just for neurodivergent people. I consider myself designing for everyone, including neurodivergent people. And I believe that if we take neurodivergence and highly sensitive as a baseline, we're making the environment better for everyone. Because
I
even
like
those
that.
neurotypical people get easily get distracted, get overwhelmed, and have difficulty focusing in a chaotic environment.
All right. So multitasking. Uh,
Yes.
is that neurodivergence too? Like a skill set for those
There
with
is no
neurodivergence?
such thing as multitasking. You are switching your attention very rapidly. People with ADHD have a difference in brain chemicals that your short-term memory does not hold as many things in your immediate attention. So you will be more easily distractible. So you
Hmm.
will be bouncing around from things in your environment because they're able to get your attention because you haven't narrowed your attention in.
Well,
With the exception, okay, do you have, do you want me to go into hyper focus? Because I can
yeah.
do
Well,
that.
no. And I tell you why I say that because
hmm
as we're talking, I'm
hmm
logging on to my computer at work to see what work I got to do. As like, there's just a bunch of things that I feel like I can do in
hmm
one task, and lack of focus has been something since I was in kindergarten. Every teacher and everybody ever noticed, like just
hmm
the fact I'm never focused on one thing. It can be a
Yes,
detriment, but sometimes it's a strength. I guess I don't know.
it is. It's depending on how you manage it. It can be a superpower and it also can be an obstacle.
Hmm.
The first step is understanding your own brain and then setting up systems to support your brain to do what you want it to do.
It's amazing because you've sort of redefined it for me. I always thought neurodivergent was autism only, but you're sort of expanding that horizon.
No, I'm expanding it. Yes. ADHD and
Not done.
autism often happen The term they use is comorbid. They often come together. A lot of neurodivergent people I know first get a diagnosis of ADHD and then they realize there's something else going on. It's perfectly possible to have ADHD and not have autism,
Hmm.
but they really do often show up together.
Now, social cues, I feel like I'm good at. So that's where I feel like
Hmm.
there's a distinction made because I know people with
Yes.
autism do not take the cues as well as maybe someone with strictly ADHD. Is that right?
Yes, that is true. That's one of the dividing lines.
Okay. So, in your practical sanctuary, right? What can people find? Like, why did you start this whole business up? And also, I feel like you're doing it from an entrepreneurial perspective
Hmm.
as well as an adaptive perspective, right?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. It found me. It was a really obvious hole in design which no one was filling. And for me, I was like, this is so important. I know so many people who can't function. I have so many friends that I can't go sit in a cafe with and have a conversation because they can't track a conversation. A
Mm.
lot of chaotic
Eyes darting
noise
12,000
around.
different ways.
Their brain can't process the conversation with a lot of background noise because they can't filter it out. That's a neurodivergent thing. Filtering sound, auditory processing is frequently an issue. Lights, so many people with ADHD or neurodivergence, like bright lights pointing at their faces is just really uncomfortable. Fluorescent lights can't even process that at all. So for me, this is glaring
Mm.
problem with the way things are put together, and no one was addressing it. I'd be going around pointing it out, and people are just kind of like, "Duh," like we can't do anything about that. It's just what the contractor put in.
Now, I want to ask about whether people are conscious of them darting their eyes a certain way or if they're not and they just do it naturally. Because for
Oh,
me, I feel
yeah.
really bad if I'm like looking at a group of
Mhm.
people while trying to focus on a conversation. I know I'm doing it and I still do it anyway. Like, do people, though, in neurodivergence not think of it that way? They're not aware like that.
It really depends on the person. We are born in the nervous system we're born in.
Hmm.
We live in it. That's our reality. We're not analyzing it. We're not com when we start out, we're not comparing it to other people. Our experience is what we know, and we kind of assume that everyone else is having the same experience. So that's the first thing I do with people is walk you through a process where you start to do some fun exercises and figure out your own nervous system, figure out where you're sensitive, where you're struggling, where you may be seeking more sensory
Hmm.
seeking. We did talk about that too. And start to like place yourself, like, where is my nervous system different from other people's, perhaps? What things in my environment are causing me discomfort, draining my energy that I haven't really thought about it because I just accept it for the way it
Hmm.
is. Being aware of things is the first step to being able to adapt. If you don't
Yeah.
know that there's an issue, you're just gonna just keep kind of floundering on through.
Saturday, I was trying to rest up from my 5K I ran at Yankee Stadium, which was just a fun event.
Sounds fun.
But in my room, my childhood room, I went back home to Queens, and like there's a bunch of books around me, and I'm like, why am I scrolling on my phone when I should really be reading? But I never did read a book. Like I don't know what there is there, but it's like in my brain, I'm like, I shouldn't be scrolling, but because there's a bunch of books around me.
Well,
How do we turn
yeah,
off the scrolling and start
you're
reading?
you're at the mercy of your environment. If you have an intention, I mean, you're shooting yourself, first of all. I just want to point that out. Don't shoot all over yourself. If you have an intention, if you have a goal, there's something you really want, and you start to notice, like, I'm just getting distracted with all of this stuff. That's your first step, becoming aware of the issue. And then the next step is to set up your environment and get some help. Like, everyone I know with ADHD needs help because that executive function piece is really, really tough for people. Get some help, help discover those goals, and then get the help setting up your environment that's going to enable you to, by default, do the thing that's going to get you to that goal.
Huh.
That's one of the things I help people do.
almost like feng shuiing the room, right? And trying to get it
Yes,
all.
but more so. And make it way more personal.
All right. So there's an intensity to organization for people with neurodivergence, right? Like it has to be organized, and then you have that whole. Um, there's a term for it. I can't think of it right now, but where it has to be all organized and in the right place.
Well, if that's what you need, yes. And organized means different things to different people. So I have to figure out like what's going to work for this particular person. No two neurodivergent people are alike. Their brains don't work the same way, either as neurotypical people or as other neurodivergent people. So I first just take my clients through this process of understanding how their brain works and then figuring out what structures and systems are going to support their particular brain.
And OCD is the term I was thinking of. Do you help people
Yes,
with OCD?
100%. Yes, I do.
Well, that's good to know as well. And I mean,
Hmm.
sometimes though, all of these different factors and the way our brain thinks,
Hmm.
I don't want to say it can be a detriment, but it can hold us back a little bit. How do
It,
we
it,
make sure it doesn't hold us back and say, okay, let's not freak out that this thing's not in order. Let's just let it be.
right. I will coach you through that too. A lot of the exhaustion that happens when your surroundings are draining you is that your brain is editing out the things it doesn't want to deal with, and that takes energy, that takes bandwidth.
So
If
that's
I,
basically
yes.
selective listening if you think about it.
Right. Yeah, it's selective attention of all kinds, whether it's listening or looking or thinking about or tripping over. Your your brain is focusing on a few things and using energy to just take the rest out of your view. And what I can do is just again, some very simple techniques help you frame your surroundings so that you can bring that to your attention, bring the things that you're editing out to your attention, clear them, get rid of them, and then you're in an environment that is naturally allowing you to use all of your bandwidth for what you want to use it for, rather than using a lot of it to
Mm-hmm.
selectively
No,
attempt.
you know, it's interesting that I found that as I've gotten used to just scrolling and all that and not paying attention, I've just gotten to the point where I want to hang out with people who keep my attention in a conversation. Like if you can't do
Mm-hmm.
that, then
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's worth spending all my time with because to
Right.
make to have someone's attention or to capture my attention, it does take a lot. I realize, and maybe that's egotistical to say, but it's just what it is.
Well, that's your filter. Yeah. I mean, we all want friends that bring out the best in us. And if you're with a bunch of normies who bore you, that's your clue. Okay, maybe I'm not with the right set of people, and that's okay. It's no no shade on them,
Like my
but
colleagues are great. Like I could just pay
yes.
attention to what they're talking about all day. Like I love that
Well, there you
environment.
go. So you have the best colleagues. Who are your colleagues?
We're all in radio, so we're all kind of radio guys that just know the board, but sometimes
Mm-hmm.
socially we click. You know what I mean? It's our own
Right.
way of clicking.
Well, I imagine being in radio, you're paying attention to so many different things. Like you're seeking out the interesting things.
Yeah.
And that can be your superpower. Like really finding the new and interesting things. Like your brain is always looking for more. So it's a
Hmm.
perfect career for you.
And my apps always tell me what news to cover on my podcast,
Hmm.
so there's that too.
Hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
I often know that neurodivergents are excluded from a lot of things, either intentionally or unintentionally.
Hmm.
So, did that inclusion aspect inspire you to start Practical Sanctuary?
Really, very much so. Yes. Yes. I mean, inclusion is a real core value of mine and has been, you know, since I can remember. Like I was always seeking out the person that was having a rough time and just befriending them and appreciating them and like wanting to bring them in. And there is inclusion is touchy because just tolerating people is not good enough. No one wants to be tolerated. We want to be appreciated and seen for who we are. And I don't want to change people to make them fit in. I want to expand the circle. And that takes a little work on the part of everyone. It's not easy, but it's very rewarding. And so part of what I do is like create that bridge. Is I work with everyone on like their goals, who they are, but I'm reflecting back what I see. I am sensitive and introverted, so I will be paying very close attention to you and pulling out your superpowers and your strengths and asking you and digging deeper and deeper until I can really see who you are, what your strengths are, and start to clear out the stuff that isn't you and amplify those things that are you.
Your superpowers is what you've been saying.
Yes, yes, your superpowers. And like a lot of times when people have been excluded and they've been, hurt and crushed, it's like their light is dim. I help give them a spiritual glow up. Like really, I'm not putting anything there that's not there, but I'm amplifying what is there and creating an environment that like supports that and reflects that back to them. So they're feeling better in their bodies, they're feeling better in their minds, they're more clear on what their value is. Like I am very
And their
much,
soul's on fire. Like I've been doing things the
yes.
last couple of
Hmm.
weeks where I'm just like, all right, I have stuff going on, but I'm going to put that aside for a minute and just do what I want to do. And that
Hmm.
feeling of just being able to do it, like
Hmm.
going up to Boston College to watch the Irish play Notre Dame
Yes.
football,
Yes.
going to do a 5K Yankee Stadium. I mean, these are things that are firing me up. And to actually take that time for myself is something A, I'm not used to, and B, I'm really enjoying at the same time.
Yeah, now I have a question about that 5K. So how do you run? Do you have a prosthetic? Do you use your
No, I
crutches?
ran and
What's your
walked it. So it was very interesting terrain. I rollerblade. I walked it and ran it all 3 miles. And
okay.
they had us go up 2 flights of stairs twice. So we went up
Whoa.
stairs of Yankee Stadium. We pretty much went the perimeter of the ballpark
Mm-hmm.
from left field to right field. And then on the lower level. And then we went on the warning track of Yankee Stadium, which was freaking
Okay.
cool. So we
Nice.
did all that. And just being able to do that experience and zoning everything else out was just very
Mm-hmm.
special.
Yeah.
Uh, and I felt like I needed that. So yeah, there's that. Now, I want to ask you something about your sensitivity, but also as a business owner,
Mm-hmm.
you have to run your business. So how do you manage
I
the both
do.
of them?
Uh,
Like, how do you
I've
get tough when
developed,
you need to get tough? Is my question.
right. No, I've developed the systems that I need to regulate my own nervous system. And every time I scale up, there's a process. Like I published a book in September. It took me 3 years to finish it. I had given myself 2 years. It took me an extra year. And I had a migraine for 6 weeks before that book launched. It was stressing me out so badly, like getting it right, feeling vulnerable about putting it out there, organizing all
So
the,
much so,
the,
I
the
believe you
pieces.
waited until it was launched for us to actually have the
I
conversation now.
did. Yeah, I was way over, and I was going outside my comfort zone. And I was aware that I was going outside my comfort zone and I had the systems in place. I'm like, okay, got a migraine now. This is what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take my nap, I'll do my breathing exercises. I will get it done. But I had to understand it, that this is my body. I'm pushing myself to my limit. I'm choosing to do so for a good reason. And I will not push myself constantly with no break. And if
Mm.
it takes me longer, it takes me longer. I have come to terms with that. And I see so many high achievers having pushed themselves past their limit for way too long, and then they have a major health crisis that slows them down. I've seen that so much.
That was
And
me
yeah.
last year. Gallstones got me hospitalized for a month, and
Oh.
I was sidelined for another month. I mean, it
Hmm.
if you don't take care of that part of you, you're gonna go downhill pretty fast.
Yes.
So I
Yeah.
applaud you for taking those breaks. But now that you mentioned the book, plug it for my audience right now.
Thanks. Okay, it's called the Eccentric Genius Habitat Intervention, Interior Design for Highly Sensitive People. You can find it on my website, practicalsanctuary.com. You can also get it wherever books are sold. It's both ebook and print. And it is a manifesto and a how-to guide. The manifesto is first. We need this. This is how your nervous system works. This is how society is running a tractor over your nervous system, this is how and why we need to be thinking about this and doing it differently. And then I take you through the steps of how to do it for yourself, how to do it for your family, and then how to expand into your community. Because we can't just be doing this all alone. We need to be connecting with other people.
When I think of eccentric geniuses, I think of these kids that are like going to Harvard at 14, and then you have Bobby Fischer
Yeah.
who knew chess at a very young age.
Hmm.
Is there neurodivergence there that gets these kids to
There
that level?
could very well be, yes, but I
I
believe
mean, I knew a
firmly.
kid that played violin to the T, Jeremy Cushman, back in the day. I wonder if he had a little, because when you think about
Hmm.
eccentric, that's eccentric to me at
Oh
12
yes,
years old.
absolutely. Yeah, eccentric means like one-sided. It's like you've got this huge strength and then there's this, everything else is kind of like not as fully realized. I believe that everyone has genius in some way or another. So this is not an exclusive thing, but a lot of people don't perceive their own genius. They don't feel it.
And
And
they're afraid to embrace it too. Like,
I agree.
it took a while for me to just branch out on my own because I felt like I was in the shadows of all the radio hosts I work with. And like,
Hmm.
I can't really branch out on my own. Then pandemic hit, and I realized, okay, now's the time to
Now's the
launch,
time.
and here
Hmm.
we are, one leg up, Alex. So to under, I'm not saying I'm a genius, but to understand that there's something there takes a
Yes,
while to finally
exactly.
just show it to the world.
Yes.
And I think you're helping people show the world what they're made of.
That is my goal. That's my mission. Yes.
All right, I got a couple $1 million questions here
Okay.
because the first thing is obviously you do run this business. Have you hired neurodivergent people to work with you?
Right now, I am a solo outfit and I occasionally hire contractors.
Okay.
Once I'm big enough, that is a priority.
And do you feel that people that hire, like businesses hire people with autism or neurodivergence or any kind of disability, it often feels like a token. It doesn't feel real. Do you
Yes,
ever
and
feel that?
that's part of what I'm working against with this. That the choice of the title Eccentric Genius is very intentional, and a lot of the work I do, consulting with companies and advocating. Okay, I want to tell you, I recently spoke at a neurodiversity employment conference, and I found it a very frustrating experience because everything was framed as we're helping these poor, sweet disabled people. And we need to be charitable and we need to be nice people. We need to be good people. We need to include these poor, sweet neurodivergent people. And there were no freaking employers there looking to hire the amazing brains that are neurodivergent, right? I think this is a really bad marketing problem. All the neurodivergent people I know are brilliant in one way or another, and they are going to be a massive asset in the right role at the right place. I feel that excluding neurodivergent people is a massive brain drain. We can't afford it as a culture. Corporations can't afford to ignore this. And I feel that labeling this as a nonprofit, as a charity, is like helping these disabled people is the wrong way to go. Okay.
Especially when you look at someone who I believe is neurodivergent, Elon Musk, basically ruling the world. I mean, he
Well, yes, and I have my issues with Elon Musk too. He needs tempering. We've got to work together. We've got to be understanding of differences and we've got to be working integratively rather than eccentrically,
sure.
right? It shouldn't be all or nothing. We don't need to like silo and segregate the neurodivergent people and then have the normies over here. We need to be each taking some steps to understand one another and to work together and to find the right places for people.
All right. So someone comes in to your practical sanctuary. Let's be honest. Neurodivergents always aren't always verbal. So how do you get them to
Hmm.
start talking and start telling their story?
A lot of the nonverbal clients I have, it's their families that come to me. And a lot of what I do, I into I I work with their families. I work with their care providers, particularly their occupational therapists. I've had a nonverbal client that I spent, an hour on Zoom with her occupational therapist and got, all the information about how this person likes to live and what they need. And then I worked out a plan based on that because again, it's integrative. I am not creating spaces where we can park the neurodivergent people. I'm not creating just sensory rooms where they can just all kind of be in their sensory thing. I am helping them live with the people around them. And a lot of what I do, if I have like a family where the child is on the spectrum and they're sensory seeking and they're just creating a lot of chaos, the parent is drained, I will make some changes that help the parent get their needs met, with whether or not their child changes. A lot of times, like the parents kind of be like, fix my kid so that I can get a break. I'm like, let's
That's not
get
how
you a
this works.
break. Let's get you a break now, and then you have more bandwidth for dealing with your child.
And
So
I
I
mean, it's
deal
not
with the
really
whole
a parent
system.
offloading the kid. It's just they're looking for help,
They're
right?
just looking for help and they need it. I mean, with caregivers do not have enough support in this culture. I can't fix that by myself, but I can help them see it in a larger context and get at least one or two of their needs met.
I'm going to ask you this because I saw a situation where there was clearly an autistic, like 12-year-old, and some of these kids are big
Hmm.
and they don't know how to handle their emotions. So they start punching
Yeah,
back, they start getting the
right.
violent
Oh yeah. Oh
tendency.
yeah. Hmm.
I saw an aide subdue the kid in the most,
Hmm.
the way he knew he could.
Yeah.
And someone across the subway platform was like, "What are you doing? You're hurting them." And we're all
Hmm.
like, "No, he knows exactly what he's doing."
Yeah.
But I give a credit to a lot of those aides that have to deal with that on a daily basis.
They do a lot
And
of violence. They're not getting well paid for it either.
I'm setting up that question to ask you: do
Hmm.
you have anybody with violent tendencies that come in and you kind of not straighten them out, but make them channel it more, if you will?
That is above my pay grade.
Okay,
People who come to me are usually very smart, very articulate. They're coming for themselves to help themselves manage, or they're coming for their children. If there's an adult person with violent tendencies, my mission is definitely to be working on a larger scale, helping to design environments where people who can't really live on their own can function at their best. And I have worked with nonprofits that have like adult living for clients like that, and I'll make recommendations about reducing the amount of like really unpleasant sensory input and creating more sensory input that's going to be regulating, like bring more nature in, bring get a gym in the basement with some punching bags for God's sake. I mean, I've seen spaces like so underused.
right.
So, but really it's about working with the larger environment, not trying to fix an individual.
All right, I have to ask you this because the way you're talking, it sounds like either your background in social work or psychology. Is that right?
It is not, but it is one of my interests. I'm kind of a self-taught psychology nerd and self-taught neuroscience nerd. I considered getting a degree in counseling or social work, but my background is actually massage therapy.
Oh, wow.
I work directly with people's bodies and I'm really tuning into their nervous system when I'm working. And it's just so clear how the environment is affecting people's nervous system. So yeah, that was my way in, but it could just as easily have been psychology or social
I
work.
could tell because you have that presence of mind to just sort of get to the core of someone's situation.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and look at the bigger cycle.
Now, the other thing, I don't want to get political here, but there is a push here to get social workers involved in sort of cases where neurodivergence, maybe cops are called in to deal with neurodivergence.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a way we can balance law enforcement and social work? I mean, could it be done?
Oh yes. I think that cops are grossly they're tasked with solving all the problems in society that take a lot of effort and energy and money that we don't want to bother with. Cops are being asked to handle things that they are not equipped to handle, either financially, with resource-wise, with training. I definitely think that there could be more social worker intervention in situations where cops are generally called. And we've had some tragedies in Philadelphia. We've had neurodivergent people shot to death when they're having a mental health crisis, when what they needed was a social worker who was maybe trained in martial arts, but also trained in conflict de-escalation. Um, I feel that the either the cops need like a social work conflict de-escalation team, or there needs to be like a whole nother branch of where we're really funneling resources into that and less resources into just um militarizing the cops.
This is why I'm glad I have you on, because obviously it's a hot topic here in New York right now with the
It is.
mayor-elect wanting to replace cops with social workers. I
I
still
don't
think
think
there
they
could be
should
a
be replaced.
balance.
I think they should be collaborating.
See, that's what
Okay.
I think too. I don't think you
Hmm.
can disband a whole department. You've got to work
Oh
together
no.
here.
No, no, you've got to work together. Yes. I mean, and I really feel for cops because they're being asked to deal with mental health. They're being asked to deal with poverty. They're being asked to deal with violence, with trash. My God, like I lived in New York for years. The trash pickup is could be
Yeah.
better.
Well, as you
Uh,
know,
and
and
the
I have to ask you this then,
mhm,
because I've seen a lot of homeless outreach, and
mhm.
some of them are neurodivergent. Let's be honest, there are some
Yeah,
that are homeless.
yeah,
And a lot of people just are not willing to listen to these people that are in uniform, but they
yeah,
say, no, we don't want the help.
yeah.
Let's say these organizations come to you. How can you fix these problems? Maybe not on the whole, but at least maybe case by case where, okay, you want someone to come with you in your homeless outreach. What would you tell these teams that are trying?
Oh, wow. Again, that is above my pay grade. What I see is that how distressed people are, how much they act out has a whole lot to do with their physical environment.
Hmm.
I was in DC recently. I live in Philadelphia. I spent a week in DC. The demographic in the areas that I was in DC was very similar to the demographics in Philadelphia. A lot of immigrants, a lot of working class, melting pot, like all kinds of different people. Philadelphia has a rage problem. Like you really need to be careful what you say, who you say it to, because there could be just there could be like a fight just in a half a second.
I know. Well, unfortunately, we see that at
Yes.
sporting events in Philly. That does happen at
Oh
times.
yeah, I'm sure you know. Yes.
But, I don't,
Philadelphia, yeah.
I, I mean, there are some times where these people are
Hmm.
like, are you kidding me? But it's human nature, I guess, if you think about it.
Okay, it's context. Okay, there is research about this. When there is more green space, less annoying noise, better public transit, the streets are cleaner. DC, the streets are clean, the public transit is clean, it
Public
smells
transport,
good,
and
it
New
runs on
York,
time.
the metro in DC is so much better. I'm like, oh my gosh,
It
it's
is
like night
so
and
much
day.
better. You get on the train in Philly, it stinks, it's loud. I got on the train this weekend. There was a broken recording that just was repeating the same words over and over in my ear the whole trip. I was ready to punch someone by the time I got off that train. DC, I got on the bus. People were saying, hey, they were so sweet. They were like giving me advice. It was just the environment was conducive to civility. You put people in an uncaring, chaotic, gritty, dirty environment, they're gonna be angry. They're gonna have
Do New
trouble
Yorkers give
emotionally regulating.
do New Yorkers give Philly fans a bad rap, or are there just some really bad eggs in the
Philly's worse
Philly?
than New York. I've lived in both places. New Yorkers are nicer. New York is, they take better care of their parks. They plow the streets in the winter. Philly doesn't plow. Um, yeah, yeah, and you can really measure that. I've been in Europe, I've been in Mexico. There is a one-to-one correspondence between how pretty, how clean, how pleasant your surroundings are and how people behave. People behave differently in different environments. They've done studies in prisons. People put in a prison-like environment start acting like bullies. You take people out of the prison, put them in an environment with, birds and trees and good smells, and that's clean, and they're going to be able to regulate better.
Um, this is such a great conversation, but I want to highlight the word sanctuary because
Yeah.
I do feel like there's not enough awareness for people with neurodivergence that there is a sanctuary for them. Like
Yeah.
in what I've seen and observed is for neurodivergence, it always seems chaotic. We don't think about the
Yeah.
word sanctuary, right? So,
Yeah.
um,
Uh-huh.
how do you hit that point home that yes, my work is a sanctuary for you?
Well, I help show people how to create their own personal sanctuary that has what they need, which may not be what someone else needs. Everyone needs something different. I will just go through and pick out the clues in the environment and I'll ask. I'm like, okay, I see this object here. What meaning does it have? What do you like about it? What is the story? How do you feel about this color? How do you feel? How do you feel? How do you feel? And how do you feel in your body, not just in your heart, not in your mind, but all of that. Once we've drilled down and I know what that person needs to feel good, we create a tiny little place where it's optimized, where they have what they need. It could look like anything. It could be a balcony. It could be the corner of a basement. It could be the corner of a bedroom. It could be the landing. It could be anywhere.
I want to share a lot of secrets, but I'll tell you, my mom and I decluttered my whole room because I had,
Yeah.
as she likes, I had shrine upon shrine upon shrine. We
hmm
sort of took down everything. I got a gram for the podcast right after we fixed everything. We
Yeah.
got things fixed up and cleaned up. Um, I don't know if I was hoarding everything. It just was all in different places.
hmm
So we decluttered that, and then all of a sudden I got a new gig in radio. So it is true when you change your spaces, things
You change
happen,
everything. Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah. It has a huge effect, huge ripple effect.
and I think it just makes you happier too.
It
That's
does.
for
And
sure.
isn't that what we all want? We just want to be a little happier.
Well, I'm so glad we had this first I want to have so many conversations with you, but if people want to get involved, and what's your age range? I forgot to ask you, what's your age range of kid? Does it go from kid to adult? What's your age range?
Anyone who's interested. I mean, if it's kids, it's generally their families that bring me in. I've worked with all ages, and I also can work anywhere in the world as long as you have a good computer connection. A lot of my clients, I work with them over Zoom. I work with them over WhatsApp. I have clients in other countries. Zoom, email, text, and I can support you from anywhere.
I know, and I don't always talk about climate change, but this has me asking about the
hmm
climate and neurodivergence. Is there a
hmm
correlation? Is there something that makes the brain go crazy if our climate is not up to par?
We're creatures. We emerge from this planet, and when the planet's climate changes, it's going to create intense stress in all of us, one way or the other.
I think
I
it all,
know, yeah, I know
and we're all
neurodivergent
nervous, right?
people who, yeah,
The nervous systems are all at an all-time high, and the
hmm
news doesn't help it. So
right,
when
yeah.
you're talking about your sanctuary, I think getting rid of all the news and the bad news specifically is important, right?
It it definitely is if your stress level is in the
I mean, we
stratosphere.
have people that are afraid to go out of their house right now, Stephanie.
Oh yeah,
How do we fix that?
yeah. Well, one of the things I have people do is optimize their space and get some emotional regulating practice that your space is cueing you and supporting you to do so that you can expand your strength, your vessel, so that you can handle more. Because, like, I have gone on news fasts, but then when I'm in a good place, I need to open up and take in that news because if we're all ignoring it, it's just going to get worse and worse. We need to be able to manage ourselves, regulate so that we can connect with other people, we can reach out, we can start making some positive changes.
I know personally, I was a talkative kid, and I obviously still talk into a
Mhm.
podcast. But when you're a talkative kid, sometimes it's not really accepted. So, do you find that people have that trauma, like, oh my God, I was sort of silenced or not
Oh,
really able to talk?
completely. Oh, yeah. And rejection sensitive dysphoria is huge for people with ADHD and potentially autism. Really, like, people aren't going to just automatically accept you, warts and all. And that's not the goal. The goal is you accept yourself, you understand yourself, and then you start getting the tools to regulate yourself and learn to read the room, learn to notice when you've been talking for 45 minutes without taking a break. Have some kind of system for that. And that's not something that just neurodivergent people do. Everyone needs to learn to do that. We all need to be more self-aware as well as we're self-accepting. It's
Mm.
not like being self-aware doesn't mean you're just down on yourself. Like, oh my God, I talk too much. I'm such a jerk. No, just be aware and learn how to manage it.
Mm.
We all have to do that. And we can expand our
So it's
bandwidth.
almost
Like,
like you got to harness the energy, but then release it at the same time.
yes, yes, exactly.
Got it. Well, this has been so enlightening, and I feel inspired to just keep talking on my own stuff. So thank you for that.
That's wonderful.
And
Yeah.
I'd love to stay in touch and keep working with you on different things.
Yes, of course. Just reach out anytime. I'm always here.
And one more thing, because you're on Podmatch, and this is powered by Podmatch.
Hmm.
How's that connection been for you,
It's
promoting
been
the
a game
business?
changer. It really has. Like I'm an introvert. I don't go to, 3 networking events a week. I'm not constantly out there schmoozing. I like deep conversations with interesting people, and Podmatch has connected me with that. So I'm very grateful.
And we have the motto having helping people have one leg up on life.
Hmm.
You're doing that, but I think now you can inspire others to, especially those who have a disability or divergence, different ability, whatever, to say yes, you can start your own business. Have you found neurodivergent employers? Like, are you finding people are starting their business that have neurodivergence?
Oh, half of my fellow, particularly women business owners, ADHD.
Wow.
Like just the ordinary corporate environment just doesn't work for them. Like they felt like they had no other choice. And I am kind of in that realm myself. I didn't really want to be self-employed. It's just that most corporate jobs had one or two or five
Every
unacceptable
thread I
things.
have on this specific topic about entrepreneurship is about people that left corporate America
Hmm.
to do their business. It's a risk. It's not easy, but when they
Oh,
get
it
it
is
off the
not.
ground running, look how rewarding it can be.
Sometimes it's the only option.
Well, Stephanie, I can talk all day. I love this chat, and I want to have you back on soon, especially as the book keeps growing
That
and
would
all
be
that.
great. Yeah, just let me know. You got my contact, ping me and we'll keep this going. And if you read my book and you're inspired by something, just text me and we'll do a little talk about it.
And again, where can we find the book one more time? And you have a website, don't you?
I do. Yes, practicalsanctuary.com. Everything is there.
We'll
Work,
drive our listeners to
book,
that page.
email, free e-course, consultations, blog posts, everything.
Stephanie Lee Jackson, thanks for the time and your chat today on the One Leg Up Network.
Thank you so much. This has been really fun. Bye-bye.